The inner citadel, the foundation of the self. Personal growth, in its truest sense, is not an accumulation of external accolades or material wealth, but the meticulous construction of what Marcus Aurelius called the inner citadel. This Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher posited that while we cannot control the chaotic tides of the world, we can fortify our own minds into an impregnable fortress. The journey begins with the realization that the self is the only domain where our sovereignty is absolute. To grow is to recognize that our character, prohairesis, is our most valuable possession. In the modern era, we often confuse growth with expansion, more followers, higher salaries, faster results. However, Stoicism teaches us that growth is often an exercise in subtraction. It is the removal of false beliefs, the shedding of vanity, and the silencing of the ego. By focusing on our ruling faculty, we learn to distinguish between what is essential and what is indifferent. This foundation allows a person to remain tranquil in the face of adversity and humble in the context of success, ensuring that personal development is rooted in the bedrock of reason rather than the shifting sands of public opinion.
The dichotomy of control, the lens of Epictetus. The most transformative tool in the Stoic arsenal for personal development is the dichotomy of control, famously articulated by Epictetus. He taught that the path to freedom and growth starts with a simple yet profound division. Some things are up to us, and some things are not. Up to us are our opinions, intentions, desires, and aversions, in short, our own actions and judgments. Not up to us are our bodies, possessions, reputations, and the actions of others. Growth occurs the moment we stop bleeding energy into the things we cannot influence. When we obsess over the weather, the economy, or the whims of a supervisor, we remain stagnant and frustrated. Conversely, when we redirect that energy toward our own reactions and efforts, our progress becomes exponential. This is not a philosophy of passivity, but one of extreme agency. By accepting the external world as it is, we liberate ourselves to focus entirely on the quality of our internal work. This mental shift transforms problems into data points and failures into lessons, providing a stable platform for continuous self-improvement. Premeditatio Malorum, the art of resilience. Seneca, the great Roman statesman and dramatist, introduced a practice that seems counterintuitive to the modern positive thinking movement, premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. He argued that we are caught off guard and devastated by misfortune precisely because we have only ever envisioned success. To grow, one must build a spiritual immunity by mentally rehearsing potential hardships. This practice is the ultimate form of psychological preparation. By visualizing the loss of a job, the onset of illness, or the end of a relationship, we strip these events of their power to paralyze us. When we realize that we can endure these trials and that our character can remain intact despite them, we develop a profound, unshakable confidence. This is true personal growth, not the hope that life will be easy, but the certainty that we are strong enough to handle it when it is hard. It fosters a sense of gratitude for what we currently have, as we recognize its fleeting nature, and ensures that our happiness is not a hostage to fortune. The obstacle as the way, turning adversity into fuel. A central pillar of Roman Stoicism is the belief that the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Marcus Aurelius wrote this as a reminder that no situation is entirely devoid of opportunity for growth. If a person is blocked in their path, they can still practice patience. If they are insulted, they can practice forgiveness. If they are in pain, they can practice endurance. This perspective flips the narrative of personal growth. Instead of seeing obstacles as detours, we see them as the very gymnasiums where our character is built. A smooth life produces a fragile soul, but a life punctuated by challenges, when met with a Stoic mindset, produces a person of depth and resilience. Every setback is an invitation to exercise a specific virtue. In this light, the difficult person at work is not a nuisance, but a sparring partner for our equanimity. The financial crisis is not an end, but a test of our resourcefulness. This alchemy of the mind, turning leaden difficulties into the gold of character, is the hallmark of a mature human being.
Amor, Fati, and the harmonious life. The final stage of this philosophical growth is Amor Fati, or the love of one's fate. This concept, while later popularized by Nietzsche, is deeply rooted in the Stoic desire to live in accordance with nature. It is the transition from mere acceptance to a joyous embrace of whatever life brings. To live in accordance with nature means to accept that we are part of a larger, rational whole, the Logos, and that every event, no matter how painful in the moment, is a necessary thread in the tapestry of existence. Growth concludes, though it never truly ends, when we align our will with reality. We stop wishing for things to be different and start making the most of how they are. This creates a state of eudaimonia, often translated as happiness, but more accurately described as human flourishing. It is the peace of knowing that you have done your best with the tools you were given, and that your internal light remains undimmed by the shadows of the world. By adopting these Roman Stoic principles, we move beyond superficial self-help and enter the realm of true wisdom, crafting a life that is not only successful by the world's standards, but virtuous and meaningful by our own.